about uh, the difference between is selected, is displayed, and is enabled. Okay, so the interview question can be, what is the difference between the three methods, when do we use, and how to use them. Okay, so this is a sample page, okay, on my.blogspot.com, and here what you can do is, this is an awesome website. There are a lot of buttons here. See, you can check. I'll just quit this. So you can see, like, this is disabled button. Okay, so is let's first talk about is displayed. So this is applicable across all the elements. Okay, so is displayed is applicable across all the elements. So here we are using this, okay, driver.get, and then we are passing on to what we'll do. We'll find the element. Okay, so we know that this element is disabled, so we'll just put it up, and we see that when we spy this element, we see that the id is but1. Okay, what we have done is driver.find element by.link text page1 is displayed. Okay, so first one is, this is just a page. Okay, this is displayed, right? So this should be true, right? So when we run this, okay, we should get it true, and we got it true. Okay, and then, okay, so we can find out, like, any, for any method, any button, like, whether it is enabled or not enabled. For example, checkbox is submitted, selected or not selected. Okay, so that way we can do it. So now let's talk about, so this is displayed, like, this is can be used for anything, right? Like for links and all that. So yeah, so now let's talk about is displayed. So this is applicable for all the elements. Okay, so is displayed is again applicable for all elements, so it will return true if it is visible. Okay, if it is, the element is displayed. So that we have covered. Okay, so now let's move to is enabled. So is enabled we use for like, for example, radio button or something we want to check, or not radio button, but if we want to check the element is displayed or not, is enabled or not. So for example, we can see that we are clicking it but nothing is happening, but here something is happening. So this we want to check. So let's just spy this element and we check that this is a but1, and yeah, so we just check that because it returns a boolean, so we store it into this variable boolean disabled button driver.find element is enabled. Okay, so this would be true, this is false, this should come out at false, and we saw that it comes out at false. Okay, I'll run this again and show you again also. And now let's talk about is enabled. So is enabled is like, this one is enabled, right? This one is enabled. So we have taken another element here, example of radio button. So since that can be a perfect example, so here if we have mail, right? So mail by default, if you open it, okay, so if you open it, this is disabled, right? So when you open it, like, we create an element, and we try to spy this, inspect, and we see the id is radio 1. So what we do is we go to this one, this element, and we say is enabled. So this would be true by default, right? But one by id driver but one id is enabled, sorry, is selected. Is enabled is done, so we are on is selected. So is selected would be by default false, correct? So what you do is, um, you just run it, and we see that the third value that we get is false. Okay, and then driver.find radio button dot click. Now I click this radio button by id, and then we see that this should be, is selected should be true, move to true, because it was not initially. So we are just clicking on this mail, and we are seeing that whether it got selected or not. Okay, So here I one more thing I want to say is for disabled button, this value disabled will be true. Okay, but for this one you see that there is no disabled value would be there, key would be there. Okay, so that's the difference. So now let's run this and see how it performs. So the answer that we should get is true, false. Why true? True is page 1, which is true, like it is displayed. Is enabled, like button 1 was disabled. Okay, so it should return is enabled should be false. It's not enabled because. Okay, and then is selected mail wala is that false. It should return false because it was not selected initially. And then when we select that, we click it, so it is selected. So then it should return as true. So pattern should be true, false, false, true. So let's run. Okay, true, false, false, true. So that's it for this video, and there's one more thing that we can learn from here is, so these are the definitions. So isDisplayed is a method used to verify presence of web element within the web page. Okay, the method returns a true value if the specified web element is present on the web page, a false value if the web element is not present on the web page. Isdisplayed is capable to check all presence of all kind of web elements available. Is enabled is method used to verify if the web element is enabled or disabled within the web page. Is-enabled is primarily used with buttons. Now comes the isSelected. IsSelected is a method used to verify if web element is selected or not. This select method is primarily used for radio buttons, drop downs, and checkboxes. Okay, so that's the main difference. So that's it for this video.